Alright everybody, welcome to my channel and the CAD 101 series. Today we're going to start in Autodesk Inventor. So this is going to be our basic introduction. In this lesson we're going to create our first 3D model and we're going to start by taking a 2D engineering drawing and turning it into a fully 3D, fully constrained model. The part we're going to build today is part 3 from our assignment, which is essentially a hollow cylindrical part, otherwise known as a pipe or a tube. We're going to do that by following a few pretty important inventor concepts. So we're going to fully constrain our sketch, we're going to have concentric circles, and then we're going to create that solid geometry using the extrude command. The key thing to remember when working in CAD is we're not really guessing on shapes. Typically, we are building that model directly from dimensions provided on an assembly drawing. So without further ado, we're going to cut over to our assembly drawing and take a look. All right, here we go. Here is our assembly drawing for today's part. So you can see we've got our 3 different parts of our multi-view drawing. We've got our front face here where we've got 2 circles with the exact same center mark. Both are dimensioned. We've got our top view, which shows us the overall depth of the part. And then we've got our side view basically showing both dimensions, the overall outer diameter and the depth of the part. Whenever we get a drawing like this, we always want to start by sketching in Inventor the most complicated or the side that has the most details. And so in this case, we've got one side that has 2 circles with 2 dimensions. And then we have the top and the right side view, which are just an overall depth, so not a lot of detail to it. So we are going to want to start with the front face here, and we're going to draw this on the front plane in Inventor. Just best practice. All right, over here now we are in Inventor. So this here is the home screen. This is typically what opens up when you first start Inventor. You've got a lot of just different tools and file options up here. We won't really get into that today. Here in the main screen, you see all the recently used files. The more you use Inventor, the more this is going to fill up. But today we're going to start by making a new part. So we can click on the word new, but best practice is to use this drop-down arrow and make sure you're picking the right thing. So in this case, we're making a part, so we're going to click on the word part. Since this is our first day in Inventor, we're going to kind of cover a couple things before we get busy. So here on the right, on the left, we've got what's called the tree. Some people will call it the assembly tree, part tree, things like that. But as long as you understand that it is a tree and it lists kind of all the different things that are going on in your model, you kind of understand the concept. Another thing that often gets missed, there are little pluses and minuses here on the far left. If you hit the plus, that folder opens up and there's some hidden goodies in there. And as we go along, more and more stuff will pop up in our tree. Then up here we have our tabs. Inventor starts out in 3D model. And for the most part, at least in this class, we're not going to get too far down to the right in different tabs. But like most CAD software, the buttons are organized into kind of like submenus. So you got sketch, create, modify here. And they also kind of go in order of operations or order of most likely to be used. So probably not going to do a lot of converting to sheet metal or stress analysis, at least at the very beginning of a model, whereas you almost always are going to start by creating a 2D sketch. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to press this button, Start 2D Sketch. And this is going to bring up our origin planes, the YZ, the XZ, and the XY plane. These correspond over here to our view cube. So this is a very nice handy dandy little tool over here, the view cube up here in the upper right hand corner. If I hit on the home, it gives me back to this 3D isometric view. If I click on top, it spins it to where I'm looking straight down at the XZ plane or from the top. Again, hit the home. If I hit the front, spins it to where now I have the XY plane, which is the front view. So again, our assembly drawing is going to be on the front view. So I actually wanted to stay there. We're going to go ahead again and left click on front view to spin it. I guess I should mention, when you press Start 2D Sketch, you get these three orangish, yellowish squares. These are your origin planes. These are where you can sketch, and don't be worried or bothered by the fact that they have edges to them. They actually go out in infinite in those directions. I kind of explain these to my students in class that these are like sheets of paper. So you want to sketch, again, however the assembly drawing was, or if you're doing it based off a part. So if I have, and I'm trying to model my Mr. McDonald's Diet Coke can, it doesn't sit like this. It sits like this. So I would probably start this with some circles on this sheet of paper, and then circle, and then make it going up. Just so it ends up looking correctly. If you go to the end and you're trying to assemble something, it's a lot easier if your parts are facing the right direction as to where you expect them in the end. So onto our tube we're making today. So I'm left clicking here in the view cube to spin to the front. I'm now going to left click and say, hey, I'm going to sketch on this XY plane. Inventor knows I'm now in sketch mode. It's changed what tab I'm in. We've got our create functions up here. Always got to do create functions first. Then you can modify, do some patterns, some constraints. So first things first, we've got two circles in our sketch. We've got, the smaller 0.63, and then we've got the larger 1.25. So we'll move that to my other screen. Got to get my dual screen action going. Up here in create, I'm going to pick my circle that I'm going to use. So in this case, just to show you, I hit the drop down by circle. I've got three options. I've got a center point circle, I've got a tangent circle, and I've got an ellipse. In this case, we're just making center point circles, nice and simple. Best practice is to always make something touching the origin, if at all possible. 3D models coming out of a CAD software not only go to manual machinists who can make a part without knowing exactly where it is in the XYZ coordinate plane, but they also go to CNC machines, so computer numeric controlled. So think 3D printers, think CNC mills, routers, things like that. A lot of furniture companies where it's mass produced with repeatable holes and sizes. That's how you make something that is fully reliable every time. So if you use the origin in your sketch, it helps fully constrain and define your part a lot easier. So I'm going to make these circles, starting with the origin as my center point. So hovering over the origin, I'm going to click a little bit. My inner circle, again, 0.63. I'm just going to go ahead and type it. It turned my circle sketch white, and it gives me my dimension already, 0.63. This is a fully defined, fully constrained circle sketch. Now for my second circle, I'm going to show you what happens if you don't type in the number. So I don't type anything in, I just left click. Inventor doesn't really know how big it is. It's done it based off what I sketched, but it's not dimensioned, so it turns it purple because at the end of the day, it's not fully dimensioned, fully constrained yet. So in order to do that, I need to go up here to the dimension button, which is right here under constrain, hit my dimensions. And you'll notice down here in the lower right hand corner, it's telling me, hey, you need one more dimension to make this fully constrained. So if I left click on my purple circle, come out a little bit to be able to drop down that number and type in 1.25, which is my dimension off my assembly drawing. My circle now turns white. Lower right hand corner tells me it's fully constrained. I know this sketch is good to go. It matches my assembly drawing. So I hit the finish button up here. Now I've got my 2D circles. They look beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and hit home in the view cube just to spin it, kind of give you that isometric view of what we've got going on. Now I need to make it a 3D model. So again, Inventor already has flipped me over to 3D model. Now I'm creating the 3D portion. And these are our functions up here. So again, most likely to be used, extrude, then revolve, and then some of these other ones. In this case, we're going to do an extrude. So I'm going to left click on extrude. we get a pop-up, and we just kind of read this from the top down. So profile, it says select profile. This is, hey, what sketch, what shape are we trying to make 3D? And in this case, we're just trying to make this ring or donut shape 3D. So I'm going to left click on that. Not worried about the one sketch profile. It automatically selected that because of where I sketched. The directions here, you can change from the default to the other direction. You can make it symmetrical. You can make it asymmetrical and have to type in 2 dimensions. But in this case, I'm just going to go with default. And looking at my assembly drawing, 3.00, and click OK. Now you notice it's extruded it off of the screen. If I just hit the home on the view cube, it zooms out, reorients it, and there we go. We've got our fully dimensioned 3D tube. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, which honestly should have been the first thing we did. I'm going to go ahead and overwrite. I'm going to name this part 3, and I'm going to go ahead and click save. Since I'd already made it earlier, it's asking me if I want to replace it. Since you've not done it, shouldn't get that pop-up. But at this point, it now tells me down here in the bottom my part name, and it says I'm on part 3. And we are done with this part. Now that we're done with this part, thanks for tuning into this video. If you've enjoyed it, if you found it useful, please subscribe, drop me a comment, let me know what you think of Inventor so far. And if you are following along with the homework and the assignment in class, if you click on the button over here on that side, the left, you'll see the next video in our series. So that we will next do is part 1. Then we'll finish up with part 2 for the assignment. And if you click on the link on the other side, that'll take you to my most recently uploaded video. So you might get something exciting like the model rocket project that we've been doing in class. You might get taken to some lessons I do using Legos, a lot of different cool things. Maybe even my reverse engineering arcade cabinet project. Just depends on where I'm at in class and what was the last thing I've uploaded. So again, feel free to subscribe, drop me a comment, let me know what you think of this channel so far. Hopefully you're enjoying, and thanks for tuning in.